Alright, so we're going to do our parametric recording here for a Lego block. And to do this, we're just going to start with making a regular sketch. I'm just going to make it on top plane here. Have it say top. I'm going to draw a rectangle. Nothing fancy about it, just 0.25 by 0.25. And we're going to draw a second rectangle. Actually, I'm going to offset it. I'm going to offset a second rectangle in. I'm going to offset it in point. I'm going to do a 1/16. Do I want 1/16 or do I want 1/8? 1/16, that looks fine, just fine. And an 1/8 inch circle on there. And we're going to share this sketch later, so I'm going to take all three of these things. I'm going to extrude them all to be 1/8 of an inch, or maybe 1/16. 1/16 of an inch. I believe that's what I want. Yep. Okay. So next step, I'm going to share this sketch. So share sketch, and I'm going to extrude just a circle up through, and I'm going to do that 1/8. There we go. And then I'm going to extrude again, and I'm just going to do this section down 1/16. All right. So this is like the basic core of the Lego block here. If you wanted to chamfer something at the end there, I think I might do that, or just do a little, just a light fillet on this 1/16. Way too much. So 1/64. You can do that. It's a little style. Okay. So we're all finished with that. So that brings us to our parametric modeling, which we've got to do. So I've got to go into my Manage tab, and I'm going to add some stuff in here. So you open parameters, got all the parameters for drawing it. We're going to ignore those, and we're going to add some user-defined parameters. So I'm going to add one called vertical, one, the units are going to be UL. This would be like 1 UL. Okay. I'm going to add one called horizontal. Horizontal. No spaces allowed. I hit space. Horizontal. UL. 1 UL. I'm going to do one for height. So height. And we're just going to make that, 0.0625 right now. We won't worry about that yet. I'm going to add type, so this will be what type of block it is, and that's actually not a numeric. I want that to be add text. So add text, and this is type, and I might have to remove this one. So I'm going to have to So I made a mistake with this. I want to delete that parameter. I want to add text for type. And under this text, it's important that you get this text. All right, so it's what's important about this is make multi-value, and then I want medium, and I want tall, and the capitalization is important, and I'm going to add text, and this one will be colors, and I'm going to do red, and I'm just going to add blue. You could add more colors, and I'm going to add yellow. Okay, and that's that. All right, so the next step is to go to extrusion 3 and change this distance to be height. And it's got to be spelt the same exact way, capitals and everything. So mine's height, this one's height. Then I don't need to share the sketch anymore, so I can make the visibility go away. I got rid of the fillet. If you want to keep the fillet in there, it doesn't matter. I'll put it back on just to keep it consistent. So then we're going to go to rectangular pattern. We're going to do solid, so it grabs everything. And I'm going to mark the direction. And the direction I'm going to change it to is, if we turn to the sketch back on, you would see that it is D1 minus D2. If you're wondering where I got those values, if I was looking at my parametrics, this was D1 and this was D2. I'll show you how to do it again when I do it the other direction. So I'm going to take my solid and I'm going to do my direction and flip it. But just to do this, I did D1, or I could just click on D1 and then minus would be D2. So that's where I got those. And this makes you a 4x4, and we could change that quite easily. But what we're going to do is we're going to change these. So instead of saying like 2, I'm going to just call it vertical. And I'm going to rename this one. So instead of giving it a value, I'm going to call it horizontal. Spelled exactly like I do in the parametric table. So if I go in here to the parametric table now and I change this from 1 to 2, if I change this to be like 2 UL, I change this to be, I don't know, 4 UL, it'll do that. So we've got that set. Okay. So the next step is I've got to open my iLogic. It's right here. I'm just going to drop this so I get them both in the same, I like have them both in the same thing. Come on. There we go. Now I got them both on the same thing, and I got to do some iLogic stuff over here. So just make sure I'm getting all the right rules in. So I'm going to start by going to rules. I'm going to just make an add a rule. I'm going to call this the height rule. And I'm going to add a bunch of text here. So this text is important, but basically it's simple if else statement. So if type, which I had before, equals, go space, equals short, then height equals 0.0625. Okay. So then else if type equals medium, then height equals 0.125. Or else height equals 0.25. End. So then we're ending the if. I'm going to save it and hit run. And what this should do now is if I go into the table over here and I switch this from small to medium or to tall, I should get good results. So the small gives me the last one. I think I said short, so I got to go edit this. I did. I want this to be small. So that's one of the things you got to look at. So now I'm going back to the tables. This should adjust. Medium, small, tall, small. Okay, so that's working. We got to add our second rule. And I got to go pick my colors before I do this. So like I got colors I can choose from in here. So I'm going to use cyan for blue. I got yellow for yellow. And I have smooth red for red, and I have regular red. I got slate blue. You gotta type them exactly as they're typed in here. So we'll see. So I'm gonna add another rule. Add rule. I'm gonna make this color rule. I'm gonna click OK. So this is all gonna be if color equals red, then else if color equals blue, then else if color equals yellow, then, and if. I just got to add what the colors are, so I got to, whoops. Okay, so I got to go, I do not remember what this formula is called. I think it's an I. There it is, I properties, part color. So here we go, equals the color red. Maybe I'll do smooth red. Smooth dash red. Then, and I'm just going to copy this, paste that in there. So I wanted to use cyan for blue, and I wanted to use yellow for yellow. And if we hit save run, it'll tell us if this is good. So now if I go into the styles, I can see red's a red, blue's doing nothing, yellow is good. So I got some issue with my blue here. So let's see, what's the color rule? If color is blue, that space could have been an issue. There we go. So that was as simple as that. It was that I had an extra space in there, made a difference. So my colors work. Last thing I gotta do is I've gotta add a form. Forms are pretty straightforward. I want a vertical, I want a horizontal, I want a type, and I want color all in there. Under vertical, I'm just gonna change this behavior to be a slider instead of a text box. And the slider properties, let's not get bigger than 12. For the horizontal, I'm going to do the same thing. Instead of a text box, I'm going to change it to a slider, which still gives you a text box. It just gives you a little, no bigger than a 12 by 12. So a max volume 12. And these, I like the text box, so I'm just going to say okay. And I'm going to actually edit this. Yeah, I'm just going to be like block properties. Okay, so I got block properties here. If I open this up now, I can channel all my block properties this way. I've got my mediums, my talls, my reds, my blues.